Message in WhatsApp.
I received. Okay. So yesterday we have completed our module number 2, and today we are going to start with module number 3. So module number 3 is all about methodologies and models. So in this module I am going to explain what is the difference between a method and model, and what are the different types of methods that we are going to use for implementation and development of the project. So here I am going to cover 4 different methods. Those are nothing but sequential methodology, which is also known as waterfall model. Second one is iterative methodology, which is also known as RUP. RUP stands for Rational Unified Process. And third one is evolutionary methodology, which is also known as a prototyping model or spiral model. In this, I am going to cover prototypes. What are the different types of prototypes, and what is the difference between a wireframe and a prototype and a markup. Then finally, we will see with Agile methodology. In Agile methodology, I am going to cover XP, that is Extreme Programming, and then Scrum. Okay. Now, coming to the module, what do you mean by a method and what do you mean by a model? Can anyone give a general guess? Any general guesses? What do you mean by a method and what do you mean by a model? Yes, guys. Any general guesses? Yes, Abhishek, Sunita, Hemin. Any general guesses? Is my voice audible? Yeah, Hemin. Do you want to say anything?
Oh, yes. I believe a method is the technique or the procedure, and
Okay.
model is like the whole concept that is built on the back end.
Okay. Okay. So to explain in a simple way, the concept is called a method, and application of that concept is nothing but a model. Okay. That means whatever you are planning is nothing but method, and putting that plan into action is nothing but whatever you are planning is a putting that action in a putting that plan in a action is nothing but model. Okay. For example, now your objective is to get a job as a BA. So to achieve this objective, you are planning something. Like first you want to take the BA course, and then you want to prepare your resume, and then you want to put your resume in the job portals, and then you want to attend interviews. So this is your plan. It is nothing but a method. Now, if you start implementing your plan, that means you started taking BA training. So you started implementing your plan, which is nothing but a model. Okay. So here we have 4 different types of methods or models which are presently existing in the IT market. So those are nothing but sequential methodology or waterfall model. Second one is iterative methodology or RUP. RUP stands for Rational Unified Process. And third one is evolutionary methodology, which is also known as spiral model. And then finally, agile methodology. In agile methodology, we are going to have Scrum and XP. Okay. So I'm going to explain you about all these 4 different methods. And I will take a simple example and I will explain how we can implement a project by using all these 4 methods. Okay. So first we will start with sequential methodology. So it is very rigid and traditional methodology. That means it is very old method which we are going to use for the implementation of the project. So in this method, we can't address a risk and we can't address change requirements. That means if your project is having a risk, then we can't do that in this. Okay. And if your project within the project we can't do requirement changes. So once you start doing implementation, we can't change the requirements. That is another one. Okay. So this method we are going to use for small scale projects or standalone prototype projects where there is where the requirements are completely fixed, that are frozen, and the client ensures that there won't be any change request further. Okay. So for this kind of things, we are going to use this sequential methodology. Okay. So that means, like, if the client is giving a project and if he says these are the only requirements and we are not going to give any further requirements, already these requirements are freezed. For that kind of projects, we are going to use sequential methodology. Okay. For small scale projects. So here how the development goes means phase wise development. So in sequential methodology, we are going to do phase wise development. Phase wise development in the sense, like, see, first we are going to take one phase and we are going to complete that, and we are going to have a review process. So we will do review. So if review shows everything is fine, then we will go to next phase. Or if review says that there is some problem in that particular phase, so we will solve that problem and then we will go to second phase. And again we are going to complete the second phase, and again we are going to have a review process. So if review says that everything is fine, then we will move to third phase. If review says that there is some problem in the second phase, then we will solve those problems. So for each and every phase, as soon as we complete, we are going to have a review. So based on the result of the review, we are going to think to start the next phase or to solve the problems. So that is nothing but phase wise development. Okay. So let me show you. Now I will take a simple example. Okay. So now I want to implement this ATM application system. Okay. Now client is going to come to you if you are working in an IT company and he says, I want to have a ATM application system implementation. And he says, these are the requirements. There should be login, there should be perform transaction, there should be bill payment, there should be request for checkbook, there should be maintain database. So in this way, the client gives us the details. And he says, this need to be developed in waterfall model. Now we know what are the stages in waterfall in SDLC. So analysis, designing, development, testing, implementation, maintenance. These are the different phases. And as I said, waterfall means phase wise development. Okay. Now first I will take analysis, and I am going to do analysis for the entire software. That means for the entire ATM application system. That means I am going to do analysis for login, for perform transaction, for bill payment, for request for checkbook, and for maintain database. Okay, at a time. Then I am going to have a review. So if review says that everything is fine with analysis phase, then I will go to next phase. Or if it says, okay, there is some problem, then we are going to solve the problem and go to next phase. So the next phase is designing. So again, I'm going to do designing for the entire ATM application system. That means I'm going to design login page. I'm going to design perform transaction page. I'm going to design bill payment, request for checkbook, and maintain database. So again, I'm going to have a review. So if review shows everything is fine, then I will start development. If review shows that there is some problem, I will rectify that problem and I will start third phase, that is development phase. That means I'm going to develop code for login. I'm going to develop code for perform transaction. I'm going to develop code for bill payment. I'm going to develop code for request for checkbook and code for maintain database. So in this way, the development process goes in waterfall model. Okay. So each and every phase is going to have a review. Based on the result of the review, we will decide to go to next phase or to solve the problems. Okay. So here we have some advantages and disadvantages. So what are advantages means? The first one is very easy and simple. So waterfall method is very easy and simple. Why? Because all the requirements we are getting upfront. So if you know all the requirements, then you can properly plan how to implement. Okay. And second one is easy to manage. So easy to manage means like each and every phase is having a review. That means for each and every phase, we are identifying the problems and we are solving the problems there itself. That's why it is very easy to manage. Okay. Then third one is each and every phase will have a time limit. That means they are going to say, so each phase starts at a time and ends at a time. So there is a proper time. Okay. Then fourth advantage is it is very much useful for small scale projects. So if you take in the entire IT industry, nearly 70% of the projects will be small scale. So that's why it is used by many companies. These are some advantages. Now, if you go to disadvantages, so the first one is a workable product cannot be produced. That means we can't expect a workable product in the middle of the project. For example, if you want to use login functionality, you can't use. So you have to complete all the phases. Then only you can use. Okay. Then if you try to make change requirement, it will kill the SDLC cycle. That means as per waterfall, we can't make changes. So if you want to make any requirement changes, then it may damage the entire project. So the entire project may get failure. Okay. Then third one is uncertainty of risk. Even though we will say in waterfall there is no risk, but there is uncertainty of risk. That means like see whenever you define the requirements and to put that requirements in practice, it will take nearly 2 to 3 months. Now you are defining the requirements and within this 2 to 3 months, there may be chances that the requirements are getting changed. But as per waterfall, once you define the requirements, we can't change the requirements. So whatever the requirements you are defined, you are going to implement the project with that. So that may support for all functionalities or not. Okay. Then fourth disadvantage is we are not going to use this for medium and large scale projects. So waterfall cannot be used for medium or large scale projects. Okay. So these are the advantages and disadvantages with waterfall model. And why it is known as waterfall model means if you see whatever the activities that are happening within the project, so they will form in a sequence step by step. Okay. So first you can see here. So after requirement gathering, there will be analysis and after that coding and after that testing, it will form in a sequence like step by step. So it looks like a waterfall. So that's the reason it is known as waterfall model. Okay. Then second one is iterative methodology. So the term iterative means repetition. That means we are going to do the project in a repeated cycles. And it is also known as RUP. RUP stands for Rational Unified Process. So iterative methodology is also known as multi-waterfall model. So here we are not going to take all the requirements upfront. Okay. So this iterative methodology is also known as heavyweight methodology. That means here in this method, a lot of documents we are going to prepare. So a BA is going to prepare nearly 5 documents and a PM is project manager is going to prepare nearly 14 documents. So total 19 documents are prepared in iterative process. Okay. So what are the documents that are prepared by PM means like you will be preparing this one project plan, team charter, Okay, a requirement management document, quality management document, technical management document, risk analysis management document. So in this way, you will prepare 14 documents. Now, what are the 5 documents that are prepared by BA? I will be explaining you later. So here what happens means, in iterative process, we are going to use for medium and large scale projects where there is heavy risk in the project. So if your project is having heavy risk, then we are going to use iterative methodology. Okay. So here module wise development takes place. What do you mean by module wise means? Like we are going to divide the project into small parts, and we are going to name each part as module, and we will take each module and we will complete. So for we will take first module and we are going to complete like analysis, design, development, testing, implementation, and we are going to keep that module aside. Then we are going to take next module and we are going to do analysis, then designing, development, testing, and implementation, and we will keep that aside. In the same way, we will take third one. We are going to take analysis, designing, then development, testing, and implementation. So in this way, once we complete all the modules, we are going to unite all the modules. When you unite, a workable software will be produced. Okay. For example, now the same ATM application system I want to do in iterative process. So what I will do, I will divide the entire project into parts. Now here I have 5 requirements. So I divide into 5 parts. Like login will become one part, and perform transaction second part, bill payment third part. And I'm going to name that. So login is module 1 and perform transaction is module 2, bill payment is module 3, request for checkbook is module 4, and maintain database is module 5. Okay. Then I will start development. As I said, we are going to do in module wise development. So what I will do is, first I will take login. Okay. So for login, I'm going to do analysis only for login. I'm going to design only login page. I'm going to do development only. I will develop login code and I will do testing and I will implement and I will put that module aside. Again, I will take perform transaction. So for perform transaction, I will do analysis and I will design the page and I will develop the code and I will test and I will implement and I will put aside. Again, I will take bill payment. So for bill payment, I will do analysis, design, development, testing, implement. So in this way, I will complete all the modules. So that means I'm going to review the SDLC process for each and every module. Okay. So once I complete all the modules, I am going to unite. When I unite, a workable software will be produced. Okay. So this is how the development process goes in iterative process. So the difference between the waterfall and iterative is, in waterfall, these phases I am going to do only once. That means I am going to do analysis only once. I am going to do designing only once. I am going to do development only once. But in iterative process, I am going to divide the project into parts, and for each part, each module, I am going to repeat this SDLC process. So if you are having 10 modules, I have to repeat 10 times. If you are having 40 modules, I have to repeat 40 times. So that is why repetition. That is nothing but iteration. Okay. So if you see this image here, here requirements are divided into bill 1, bill 2, bill 3. That is nothing but module 1, module 2, module 3. So for module 1, I am doing design, development, testing and implementation. For module 2, I am doing design, development, testing and implementation. For module 3, I am doing design, development, testing and implementation. So I am going to, after doing each and every module, then once I complete, I am going to unite all this. When I unite, a workable product will be produced. Okay. So in iterative model, iterative process starts with a simple implementation of a small set of software requirements and iteratively enhances the evolving version until the complete system is implemented and ready to be deployed. Okay. So just go to the notes once. If you complete, just let me know.
Done.
Completed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then third one is evolutionary methodology. We are going to call this as spiral model or prototype development model. So we are going to use evolutionary methodology for big and mission critical projects. That means where there is heavy risk and continuous requirement changes. So if you find any project which is having any heavy risk and there are any continuous requirement changes, then we are going to do that in evolutionary methodology or spiral model. Okay. So here, how the development process goes means, first we are going to have initial requirements, and with the help of that initial requirements, the designers are going to prepare prototypes and mockups. So prototypes and mockups are nothing but the screens, how that, for example, if you are having login page, so how that login page should look like, what is the background color, how the design should be, and what are the fields that should be there in that particular page. So these all will be designed by designers. That is nothing but a prototype or mockup. So the designers are going to design this prototype and mockup, and we the BAs are going to show this to the client. So if the client is okay with the design, he will give permission to put that in the development process. Okay. So if he is not okay, then he will give modifications, what type of changes he need in that particular screen. Okay. So once we show this particular prototype to the client, and if he says okay, then we will put in the development process. We will go to the developer and we will say you have to like do coding for this particular prototype. Then the developer will be kept engaged with developing the code, and in the meantime the designer will keep on adding some one feature, and he will be doing prototypes. That means he will add one more feature and he will do prototype, and he will give to the BA. The BA will show to the client and take permission, and again he will go to the developer and he will ask the developer to develop that code. And again the designer in the meantime he will add one more feature and he will design prototype. Okay. So in this way we will keep on adding the features. So here in this method 100% client involvement will be there. So whatever we are going to do, we will show to the client, we will take his approval, then only we are going to keep that in the development process. So success ratio will be very high in this process. Okay. So for example, now I want to do the same ATM application under it evolutionary methodology. So what happens means, first we are going to do a prototype for login. Okay. And we will show this prototype to the client, and if the client says everything is okay, then we will go to the developer and we will say to the developer, this is the first prototype, you need to develop the code for this prototype. Then the developer will kept engaged, and in the meantime what the designer will do, the designer will do prototype for perform transaction, and he will give it to the BA will show it to the client. So if client is okay with the design, he will give permission. If he is not okay, he will give changes. Again, the BA is going to note the changes, and again he will go to the designer and he will say to the designer, saying that the client is asking this kind of changes, and the designer is going to modify that, and again he will redesign. Then after that again he will submit to the BA. The BA will show to the client. Now if the client is okay, then the client will give permission for the development, and the BA will take this to the developer and say, after developing login page, this is perform transaction. For this you need to develop the code. Okay. And again the developer will kept engaged, and in the meantime the designer is going to design bill payment prototype. So in this way the development process goes. So whatever we are going to do, we are going to show it to the client, we will take his permission, then only we are going to put that in the development process. Okay. So this is how the process goes. Here we have some advantages and disadvantages. So the first advantage of evolutionary methodology means we can use the project in the middle. That means once if you use login and if you complete login, then no need to wait till all the requirements are completed. So we can use this login in our project. It is possible. Okay. Then second one is like evolutionary methodology we are going to use for big and mission critical projects. Okay. Then third one is a lot of risk analysis will be done. So in evolutionary process, we are going to do more and more risk analysis. Okay. So these are some advantages. Now coming to disadvantages, this is a very costly, time consuming and outdated methodology. Okay. So to develop each and every prototype and to show it to the client again, to take permission with the client and put it in the development, it's a very time consuming process. Okay. And second one is it is not used for small scale projects. And third disadvantage is like we need to have a good risk analyst. That means every time we need to appoint a risk analyst with 10 years of experience. So getting every time with good experience is not possible. Okay. Then fourth one is we are going to depend upon the risk analyst decision. So whatever the risk analyst says, we are going to accept that. For example, if he says that not to take this project because it is having heavy risk, then we have to leave that project. And if another company takes and it is successful, it will be a loss to us. Okay. So these are some of the disadvantages with evolutionary methodology. Okay. Then next one is like in this we are discussing about prototypes. What are prototypes means? The look and feel of a system in a virtual way or in a simulation way is called as prototype. Okay. So the reason why we are going to use prototypes is to make the client understand that we have understood his requirements. That means sometimes the client will be in one country and the IT company will be in one country. So the communication how they do orally is going to get miscommunicate because of their language or because of the essence they are going to use. So it will create confusion. So in order to avoid this confusion, we will say to the client to put what they want in the form of writing, and then we are going to prepare a prototype. We will show. Then the client will understand. Okay, we have they have understood what I exactly required. So for that purpose, we are going to use prototypes. Okay, and wireframes is the latest technology which we are going to use for ready-made prototypes. So the tools which we are going to use to draw these prototypes is Justinmind, 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 SmartDraw, SMART, Smart, DRAW, SmartDraw, and Axure, AXURE, Axure. So these are the very popular tools we are going to use. We in the sense the designers, they are going to use to draw these prototypes. Okay. Now we have three types of prototypes. The first one is throwaway prototype, and second one is prototype with slice of functionality, and third one is prototypes with functionality. So these are the three types. So throwaway prototypes means we are going to use this prototype in the project for certain period of time, and after that whatever the result it gives, we are going to continue the project with the help of that result, and we are going to throw the prototype. Okay. For example, let us take third party gateways. So if I take if I want to do any shopping in Amazon, like I need to make the payment. So there will be different options, like pay through debit card or pay through credit card, pay through internet banking, or pay through PayPal. So all these options will be there. Now, once if you select pay through debit card, so it will hit the debit card payment gateway. Okay, it will connect to the debit card and we have to enter all our debit card details and everything, and once payment is completed, then we will come out of that, and whatever the result the debit card payment gateway is giving, so we will continue the project with that result, and again we are not going to use this gateway anymore. So that is nothing but throwaway prototype. So once you use, we are going to stop using it, and after that whatever the result it gives, we will continue with that. Okay, to explain in a simple way, now if you suffer with fever and if you go to doctor, so doctor is going to inspect you, and if he says okay you have high temperature, I need to give a injection, so he will take a needle and he will give injection, and after giving injection he is going to throw away that needle. He is not going to use that needle anymore. So that needle is nothing but throwaway prototype. And once after giving injection, again he is going to inspect whether temperature is decreased or not, and based on that he is going to write the prescription. Okay, so the needle which you are using is nothing but throwaway prototype. Okay, then second one is prototype with slice of functionality. So in this we are going to show the functionality, some functionality, not complete functionality. Okay, for example, the login page we are going to design in this way in paint software. and we will show it to the client. So we will say, this is how your login page is going to look like. This is your logo, and this is the background color. This is username, password, and this is login button. And this is the design. Now we will submit this to the client. Now client is going to see this, and he will give changes, whatever he want. So he will say, okay, my logo is very big. I don't want this much of big logo. Reduce the size of logo and ensure that it is fitting at the top left side. So I want only this place. Okay. And I don't want background color. You change this background color to pink. Okay. And he says, okay, username, the text box is very small. So try to extend this text box. In the same way for password also, try to extend this text box. And then coming to login button, this button is in rectangle shape. I don't want rectangle shape. You put in curve shape. Okay. And he will say username, password, and login are extremely left to the page. I want this to be in the middle of the page. Okay. In this way, the client is going to give changes. We, the BS, are going to note those changes, and we will say to the designer. The designer is going to modify that. Okay. This is nothing but prototype with slice of functionality. Here I am showing only how the username text box is there, but I can't write anything in the text box. That's why it is known as slice of functionality. We are showing only some part of functionality. Okay. Then next one is prototype with functionalities. It means, for example, if you want to purchase a mobile in a mobile shop, so you will go to mobile shop and you will say the model number to the executive. Now what that executive will do is, he will take a dummy piece of that particular model and he will give it to you. Okay, that means a sample piece. So you can touch the mobile and you can see how mobile looks like, what is the weight, and how the touch screen is, and what are the functions that are available. So everything you can see. And if you like that mobile and if you order, the executive is going to give a sealed piece, not the same piece which he has shown. So the piece which you have shown is nothing but a prototype with functionality. Okay. So in the same way, if you go to a car showroom, now if you say a particular model to the manager, he will ask the executive to bring the demo of that particular model. Then the executive will bring and he will say to sit in the driver's seat, and he will give the steering to you and you will be driving. And while you driving, the executive explains, this is the model of the car. These are the specifications. You are going to have like power steering, power windows, and there will be AC and there will be stereo. In this way, he will explain. And once if you like that model and if you order that, the car showroom is going to give a new piece of car, not the same piece which you have taken for ride. So the piece which the car which you have taken for ride is nothing but prototype with functionality. Okay. So these are the three different types. Then next we are having a wireframe mockups. Okay, these are the other terminologies. Generally, many people don't know what is the difference between a wireframe and a prototype and a mockup. So everyone thinks that these three terminologies are same, but there is a slight difference. So the interviewer is going to ask you definitely, what is the difference between a wireframe, prototype, and a mockup? So if you want to know that if you are genuine or not, definitely is going to ask. So there is a slight difference. What is the difference? Let me explain you. Now, wireframe is nothing but a basic visual layout of gray boxes representing the main elements. That means the primary stage of prototype is nothing but wireframe. Okay. For example, if you are sitting in requirement gathering sessions and client is giving requirements, he says, my application is going to have login page and there should be user ID, password, and login button. Now, in spite of writing this, if you take a notepad and if you draw that, like you will take a rectangular box and you will say, okay, you will give a login symbol and say login, and you will say a button and say user ID, and you will say login button and say login button. So in this way, if you prepare, that will be a wireframe. So a wireframe is not going to have interaction with the system. Okay. So you are going to draw that on a notepad. Okay. Then next one is prototype. Prototype means if wireframe is getting interacted with the system, it will become prototype. So why all stakeholders are going to use prototypes means before investing their real time and money on the project, they are going to test on the prototypes. If this test is giving good results, then they will invest real time and money. If this test is not giving good results, then they will drop. So that's the reason they are going to use prototype. Okay. So prototypes, when the system gets interacted with the system, that is when the wireframe gets interacted with the system, it will become prototype. Okay. Then next one is mockup. So the advanced version of prototype is nothing but mockup. So here you are going to give a mockup is a static design representation with color, typography and visual styles. So in mockup, we are going to give colors, designings and everything. So a mockup exactly looks like a prototype. Okay. So this is the difference. If you see the images, you can understand. So this is a wireframe where we are going to draw with a pen or pencil. And once if you keep that on the system, if you are going to draw with the help of paint or something, so this is prototype. And in mockup, we are going to give logo, designs, colors and everything. Okay. So this is the difference between wireframe, prototype and a mockup. So just go to the notes once. Completed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Then next one is agile methodology. So this agile methodology is also known as Swift model. Okay. So before entering into agile methodology, I want to explain you some terminologies. Like the process will be of two types. One is defined process and second one is empirical process. Defined process means everything will be under control and coordination. Okay. Just as we are doing in waterfall model. So all the requirements you will know before starting the project. Okay. So when you know all the requirements, you can have control on them and you can coordinate. So that is defined process. And second one is empirical process. Empirical process is something where we are unable to understand that in the beginning. Okay. We won't be understanding that project in the beginning. So it is something complicated. For example, if an illiterate client will come and say, this is my business and I want to have an application. So you don't know who is a stakeholder, what are requirements, what are functionalities. So at that time, we are unable to understand the project in the beginning. So what we will do, we will do a lot of research and development, and we will know by ourselves, okay, these are the stakeholders for him, these are his requirements. That is nothing but empirical process. So the three pillars for empirical process are like inspect, adopt, and transparent. Okay. So these are some terminologies. And coming to iterative, I explained already. Iterative is nothing but repetition. And incremental. Incremental means developing in smaller portions. Developing the project in smaller portions. Okay. Now, coming to agile methodology, like agile methodology means agile is not a method to say, it is a framework with set of rules and principles. Okay. So in agile, we are going to have some principles, and under agile umbrella, we will have some methods like XP, that is nothing but extreme programming, Scrum, and then Crystal, Kanban, Lean Kanban. All these are different methods which comes under agile framework. Okay. Now, agile methodology will have 12 principles. What are those 12 principles means? So these are the 12 principles. So the first one is top priority to customer satisfaction. How it is going to give priority to customer satisfaction means by producing a deliver shippable increment, a shippable delivery every time continuously. Okay. So in agile methodology, we are going to develop a project continuously and repeatedly. So every time a shippable delivery increment will be produced. And change requirement. Second one is change requirement. That means in agile process, we can do requirement changes in the last stages also. So basically agile works on customer competitive adaptiveness. Then next one is workable software will be delivered frequently. So in agile process, we are going to deliver a shippable working product every time, maybe within couple of months or within couple of weeks, within a shorter period. Okay. Then client and IT are going to work closely. That means the IT team and the client. So when we are going to use agile methodology means for faster development and faster production. So generally, if you do a project in agile, it means the entire IT team will go to the client's place and they will work there. So that's the reason client and IT are going to work closely throughout the project. Okay. And requirements are gathered in face-to-face conversation. In agile process, requirements are gathered in face-to-face conversation. Okay. So here we are not going to give much importance for documentation, or even we should not get surprised even if there is no documentation in the agile process, because every requirement will be gathered in face-to-face conversation. Rather than wasting time on documentation, they will directly put in practice. Okay, then it creates environment and support to team. So agile will trust the team, and it gives full liberty to work, and it will support the team. Okay, and workable software product is a primary measure of progress. So in agile process, how we are going to measure the progress means every time a workable product will be produced. Okay, and agile is going to focus on technical excellence and good design. That means whatever the projects you do under agile process, technically it will be very strong and user friendly design will available. Okay, and sustainable development means throughout the project you are going to have same pace of development. We are not going to increase the speed, or we are not going to decrease the speed. Okay, then 12th one is simplicity means a good requirement, good design, good project is possible only through simplicity in the sense, like in agile process, team is going to give more importance for the work which is pending rather than the work which is completed. Okay, so for example, out of 100%, if you are completing 90% of work and 10% of work is remaining, oh, agile process is going to give importance how to complete the 10%. It is not going to consider 90% whatever it is completed. That is nothing but simplicity. Okay, the next one is cross functionality. Cross functionality means good design, good architecture, and then good requirements are possible only through cross functional teams. Okay, and then more effectiveness means in agile we can customize the project as per the requirements of the clients, so we can mold the project in the way whatever we want. Okay, so these are the 12 principles of agile. Then agile is a combination of both iterative and incremental model, which gives more importance for customer satisfaction, but by providing the project within short period of time. Okay, so that is nothing but agile. Okay, it is a combination of both iterative and incremental model, which focuses more on customer satisfaction by producing a product within short period of time. Now, how the development process goes in agile means, in agile we are going to divide the project into parts, which are nothing but modules, as we know. But again, in each module we are going to have iterations. Okay, so the time period of iteration should be between 0 to 21 days. Sorry, the time period for iteration should be between 7 to 21 days. Okay, each iteration period should be between 7 to 21 days, and in each iteration cross functional team will be working. That means the BA will be doing analysis, the designer will be doing designing, the developer will be doing coding, and all this happens parallelly, not one by one. Okay, at the end of each iteration a workable product will be produced. Let me show you. For example, now this ATM application I want to do in agile process. So what I will do is I am going to divide this project into parts, that is 5 parts, and I will name that as modules. Now you are going to get 5 modules. Login is one module, perform transaction second module, bill payment third module, request for checkbook fourth module, maintain database fifth module. And again in modules we are going to have iterations. That means in login, what kind of work we have to do? We have to create a user ID, we have to create a password, and we have to create a login button. Okay, so creating user ID will become one iteration, creating password will become one iteration, creating login will become one iteration. So in login we are having 3 iterations. Now each iteration time should be between 7 to 21 days. That means the team is going to decide. So the time should be between 7 to 21 days. For example, if they are taking 10 days, the iteration time is 10 days. So that means first iteration you have to complete in 10 days. So for creating user ID, you are going to have 10 days. So in that, the cross-functional team will be working. That means the BA will do analysis and designer will do designing and developer will do coding. It happens in a parallel way. Okay. Once you complete the iteration, a workable product. That means the user ID should get exist. Okay. So this is how we are going to do. Now second iteration is creating password, and again you are going to have 10 days. So in these 10 days, again cross-functional team will be working. The BA will be doing analysis, the designer will be doing design, the developer will be doing the code. So everything happens. So once you complete that iteration, the password will be in use. Okay. So that is the way we are going to do in Agile process. So here in Agile, we have XP. XP is one type of method which is going to use Agile. So XP stands for extreme programming. Okay. So in this extreme programming, we are going to treat client as an integral part of the project. That means we are not going to differentiate client and project. We will think client and project are one and the same. And here the requirements will be continuously refined. Refined in the sense we will keep on changing the requirements. Okay. So for the betterment of the project. And here the programmer, he will find his roles and responsibilities. He will identify by himself what kind of task he has and he will complete the task. So there is no one to say to do this or to do that. That means for a programmer, no one is going to guide. Okay, you have to develop this or you have to develop that. He will identify himself. He will complete his task. Okay. And it is based on 5 parameters. What are those 5 parameters means? The first one is planning the game. Second one is user design. Third one is pair programming. And fourth one is refactoring. And fifth one is test driven product. Okay. So what is planning the game means? Here we are going to represent each and every requirement in the form of a story, which is nothing but a user story, which has to be prioritized. Okay. That means we will take each requirement and we will explain that requirement in the form of a story. For example, if login is there, so we will explain this login functionality in the form of a story. How? In the sense we will say, okay, if user is going to enter his user ID and password and click on login button, the system will allow the user to enter into application in this way. So perform transaction is there. So once a user enters into the application, the system will show perform transaction option. So once if the user clicks on that perform transaction, it will give 3 drop down options like withdraw, deposit and transfer. So in this way, each and every requirement we are going to present in the form of a story, which is nothing but a user story which has to be prioritized. Okay. Then next one is user design. That means whatever we are going to do designing in extreme programming, it will be a friendly user. Okay, we are not going to make that complicated. Then next one is pair programming. Pair programming means 2 people will be working at a time. The developer will be developing the code and the tester will be reviewing that code. Okay. Then refactoring. Refactoring means continuous development, continuous production. So there won't be any break. So throughout the project, it keeps on, the development keeps on going and the production will be keeps on moving. Okay. Then test driven product. Test driven product means here, first we are going to identify what kind of problems we are going to face in this project. And then we will take all precautionary measures not to fall in those pitfalls. Okay. So that is nothing but test driven product. So first only we will identify what are the problems that we are going to face in this particular project and we will take all precautionary measures not to enter into that problems. That is nothing but test driven product. Okay, so that is nothing but extreme programming. Okay, so out of entire IT industry, only 2% of the companies will be using this extreme programming. Okay, then next comes to Scrum. So this Scrum method, nearly 55 to 60% of the companies will be using. Okay, so this Scrum method we can use at the beginning of the project, or when you sense that the project is going into Scrum, when you sense that the project is going into scope creep, at that time you can divert into Scrum. That means if you are using waterfall model, and if you see that, okay, the project is going into scope creep with the help of waterfall, then you can divert into Scrum. Okay, so what is the Scrum means? So Scrum is a agile development process which is based on empirical process, where we are going to use cross-functional and self-organized team. Okay, so this cross-functional and self-organized team is going to deliver a shippable product increment within 30 days or less. Okay, and it is based on, it uses both iterative and incremental model to maximize the delivery, to maximize the value of delivery, and to minimize the risk. Okay, so Scrum follows agile methodology and it is based on empirical process. So in Scrum, we are going to have cross-functional and self-organization teams which are going to provide a shippable product increment in 30 days or less. Okay, now this Scrum is based on 8 parameters. Okay, so let me explain about Scrum framework. In Scrum framework, we are going to have 3 roles, 3 artifacts, 5 events. Okay, what are those 3 roles means? There will be Scrum Master, there will be Product Owner, and there will be Development Team. Other than this, there won't be any other responsibility. Okay, so only these 3 people will be there. There won't be no QA, BA, or developer, or tester, nothing like that. There will be product owner, there will be Scrum Master, and there will be development team. And all these people, they are going to come under development team, like BAs, QAs, developers, networking people. We are going to call them as development team. We won't give any separate designation. So only 3 designations will be there: development team, Scrum Master, product owner. And there will be 3 artifacts. That means what to do, what you are doing, what you have completed. To do, doing, and completed. These 3 are the artifacts. That means what requirements you have to complete, what requirements you are doing, what requirements you have completed. Okay, and there will be 5 events. What are those 5 events means? Product backlog, Scrum meetings, sprint sprint backlog. These are the 5 events. So this entire thing combines this Scrum framework. Okay, and Scrum framework is based on 8 parameters. So just how the extreme programming is having 5 parameters, in the same way Scrum is having 8 parameters. What are those means? Product owner, first one is product owner, second one is Scrum Master, third one is Scrum meetings, fourth one is sprint meetings, fifth one is sprint backlog, sixth one is sprint burn down, seventh one is product backlog, eighth one is product burn down. So these are the 8 parameters. Okay, so product owner means he is the voice of the customer. So he is going to decide what should be there in the team and what should not be there in the team. That means what should be there in the project and what should not be there in the project. Okay, then Scrum Master. Scrum Master is going to act as a leader or coach of the team. So he is going to analyze the performance of each resources, and if any resources have any problem, they will reach to Scrum Master. Okay, then third one is Scrum meetings. So this Scrum meetings, we are going to have every day for 15 minutes. Okay. So in these 15 minutes, we are going to discuss about 3 points. What are those means? What you have done in the last scrum. Second one is, have you faced any problems or obstacles? And third one is what you are going to do in the next scrum. So in these 15 minutes, we are going to discuss only about these 3 things. And if the meeting goes behind 15 minutes, then we are going to call that as 16th minute meeting. And in 16th minute meeting, you can discuss anything. You can discuss about movies, you can discuss about restaurants, whatever you want to discuss, you can discuss. Okay. So it is very important. Scrum meetings are nothing but daily we are going to have 15 minutes and we are going to discuss only 3 points in these 15 minutes. What are those means? What you have done in the last scrum, have you faced any obstacles or problems, and what you are going to do in next scrum. Okay. So if time is extending from 15th minute more than 15 minute, we are going to call it as 16th minute meeting. In 16th minute meeting, we can discuss anything. Okay. Then next one is sprint meetings. Sprint meetings we are going to conduct whenever we start sprint. And in sprint, we are going to discuss what we need to complete within that particular sprint. Okay. What is a sprint mean? A sprint is a time box of 30 days which contains some events like sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retrospective, and everything. Okay. So each sprint will be started after completing of the next sprint, before sprint, and sprint enables predictability. It limits the risk, and the sprint time is constant for throughout the project, and sprint ends when the time box ends. Okay. Then fourth one is sprint meeting, and fifth one is sprint backlog. Sprint backlog means the list of items that are pending within a sprint. Then sprint burn down. Burn down means the list of items that are completed within a sprint. Then next one is product backlog. Product backlog means the list of items that are pending within a product. And product burn down. Product burn down means the consolidated list of all the sprint burn downs. Okay. So these are the 8 parameters. So just go through the notes once. After that, I will explain how to do a project in Scrum. Okay. So let me explain how we can do a project in a Scrum process. Now, assume that ATM application system is our project. So to do this project in Scrum, what we are going to do is the same process. We are going to divide the project into parts. Okay. Login will become one part and I am dividing the project into 5 parts. Now, I will name each part as a sprint. Okay. So here we are going to call each part as a sprint. First of all these, whatever the requirements that are there in the project, that comes under product backlog. So product backlog means whatever we have to develop within a project. Suppose if there are 100 requirements falls under product backlog. Okay. The list of items that we need to complete within a project. Okay. Now I'm going to call each one as a login as sprint 1, perform transaction as sprint 2, bill payment as sprint 3, request for checkbook as sprint 4, and maintain database as sprint 5. Okay. Now the entire team sits and decides the sprint time. So the sprint time should be between 0 to 30 days. Okay. So the entire Scrum team is going to sit and decide what could be the sprint time. For example, if they decide the sprint time as 10 days. So each and every sprint time should be 10 days. It is not like that sprint 1 is 10 days and sprint 2 is 12 days and sprint 3 is 13 days. It is not like that. So the sprint time is constant throughout the project. So we can't reduce or we can't increase the sprint time. If you're deciding the sprint time as 10 days, then every sprint should be 10 days. And this is decided based on the average of the requirements. Now let us say sprint 1, that is login, we are deciding as 10 days. Now we have to complete this sprint 1 within 10 days. Now in this sprint 1, we are going to have items. What are those means? In login, we have to create user ID, which is one item. You have to create password, which is one item. You have to create login button, which is one item. So total there are 3 items. So these 3 items we have to complete within 10 days. Okay. Now, if you are completing 2 items in 10 days, whatever the items that are completed, that comes under sprint burn down, the list of items that are completed within a sprint. So the 2 items comes under sprint burn down, and whatever the items that are not completed will comes under sprint backlog, the list of items which are pending. So one item is pending, that one item comes under sprint backlog. Okay. Then assume that you have completed 10 days and you have completed only two items. So in sprint backlog, there will be one item. Then second, from 11th day, we are going to start perform transaction. This is sprint 2. Again, for sprint 2, you are going to have 10 days. Now assume that in perform transaction also you have 3 items, like you need to develop withdraw function, deposit and transfer. And along with this, you have one sprint backlog item. So total you need to do 4 items in sprint 2, one backlog item and 3 sprint 2 items. So once you start sprint 2, you need to first give importance from backlog items. Okay. First you are going to start whatever the backlog items that are there, you will complete, and after that you will touch sprint 2 items. Now assume that you are completing these 4 items within 8 days, but your sprint time is 10 days. Now 9th day and 10th day, you are not going to do anything. You will sit idly. So you are not going to start sprint 3 from 9th day. So you will wait for 2 days, 9th day and 10th day, because our sprint time is 10 days. So after completing sprint 2, again you are going to start sprint 3. Okay. So this is how the development process goes in Scrum. Okay. So entire things, and here you are going to have only one product backlog and only one product owner. You can have multiple Scrum teams, you can have multiple development teams, but there should be only one product owner, there should be only one product backlog. Okay. So this is all about our module number 3, that is methodologies and models. So I will be sending the soft copy of notes and recording video. You can collect it from your management. And next week, we will start with module number 4. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay then, thank you.